Hi everyone, we're so excited that you're joining in today. I'm extra excited to talk about the subject today that is about romance. So if you're a man, please don't tune us out. I know we talked about communication last week, and this week we're going to talk about romance, but we're actually going to talk about how romance is very different for men than it is for women. So somehow, some way, romance for this guy over here is spelled with three letters. I don't fully understand how that happens, but that's how it
I
goes.
didn't know there was any other way to spell it. But hey, it is good to be with you guys. And yes, we are going to talk about romance, but no, if you're a man, don't tune us out. I think this is something that is very, very powerful part of this relationship of marriage. I think a lot of people underestimate the value of romance and the impact of romance. So we're going to kind of give you some practical hints and tools and kind of walk through this. But before we do that, I want to kind of define in some ways what romance is, because so often we kind of have this idea that romance is like just flowers and wine or a fancy restaurant, and it could be those things. But let me define romance for you the way I would like to talk about it. Romance for me is a proactive, not a reactive behavior that makes someone feel special and meets a need they have. So, in other words, think about when you were dating, right? She didn't have to ask you to do things. You were always thinking about ways to make her feel good, ways to make her fall in love with you. You're always thinking, and the key statements for this for me is it's proactive, not reactive. You're not doing it because they asked, not doing it because that you have to. It's not you're just giving flowers because it's the anniversary and you're supposed to. It's proactively thinking about, hey, what are their needs? How can I meet those needs? How can I continue to win their love and win their affection? We shouldn't let that courting, if you will, that happens in a dating relationship stop in a marriage relationship. In fact, that's part of the problem of why a lot of marriages lose some of the spark, is because you don't do what you used to, you don't do what you did to fall in love once you actually become in love. And so I wanted to kind of spend a couple of minutes talking about, like, what is it that Raquel thinks is romantic? Because one of the things you're going to learn is it's not the same. And then you're going to hear from me about what I think is romantic. So if you have kids in the room, you might want to have them leave. But to Raquel's part, so baby, tell them what are just some things that I do that you go, well, that is romance and that is romantic. So go ahead and share.
So I love
how amazingly romantic I am.
He is just incredible. He's so romantic. Anyways, when we go out on dates and he plans ahead, that it's not just like, oh, let's go and where are we going, that he really plans ahead, that he takes time to invest on making a reservation. I love going to new restaurants, so that he researches that he takes me to a new place, without me taking initiative, and that we can spend quality time as well, like in conversation, that I can, that we can share what's going on in each other's lives. And it can be a walk on the beach. I love that. So he takes me on dates on the island, and we go for walks on the beach, and that's really something that I love that he knows. So also, like, writing cards and flowers. Women love flowers. But also, I love chocolate, so it's one of my favorite things. And he went to this specialty chocolate store, and he got me a really nice box of, specialty chocolate. So I know he put the time and he was thinking of me and all of that. Another thing, it was that one of the things that I love that he did for me was that he bought me a very special 3-day stay in a nice resort hotel for like a retreat. So it was like so special because it was not cheap. So it was a really nice resort hotel, and that meant a lot to me. So that was really special. So I know he put a thought into it. He bought it and he gave it to me as a gift. So those are some things, that I would say. And just really when we have hard conversations, like that, to me, is very important. It's very romantic, and when he shares like his feelings and thoughts and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because one of her most romantic things was her going to a hotel and a resort without me, which is just awesome. Doesn't that feel great? Yeah, what's romantic is when you're not with me and the kid. No, but in all seriousness, it was the thought. But she is more of an introvert, as you could probably see. I'm more of an extrovert. And so for her, just getting a few days away from everything, it meant a lot that I was willing to take on, not just getting her this retreat, but taking on all the kids, all the household responsibilities. So, all right, so let me give you some things that I think are romantic, at least the things that I won't get edited out on Facebook or censored, which would be awkward. So, I do like date nights. Like she likes date nights. I enjoy those time. We try to do them on a weekly basis, whether they're nights or lunches. But I think for me, I like having fun. I like going and seeing a good movie. I like going to a fun restaurant. She likes fancy, and I have to eat before because I don't like fancy food. I want steak, bread, bacon, and a really funny, or lots of violence movie that is going to be fun or whatever. But for me, romantic is that. I think secondly, going away, both of us are the same. We love to schedule a few times a year. We go away. Sometimes it's like 36 hours. We just go for one night in a hotel, and we'll just kind of get away. And if you have some friends, you can rotate watching kids. But there's something about leaving the house, leaving the zip code if you can, and just kind of getting away for that day. We just went to Miami Beach right before the pandemic for one day, and it was such a wonderful time. Walks on the beach, shopping. It was just really, really good.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I think that it gives you like such a quality time because we're able to really talk and relax and enjoy each other without the daily pressures. And they can be just a day and a half, 2 day.
Yeah.
And we really, he takes initiative. Sometimes I'm like, I'm busy with the kids, so like he's like, no, let's go, we're doing this. So I love that he takes initiative, and it really is an awesome. We always have so much fun.
So I love like date nights, going away, sexy outfits. I don't mind when you wear them either, by the way. But I mean, in all honesty, that is, especially for a man, men in romance can be a little more physical, or a lot more physical. Women in romance can be more emotional, right? So they're both those needs. And actually, what I love about this, and I think this is a great conversation to ask your husband, your wife, hey, what are those? Just like we did with each other. Because like I said, I found out that a hotel without me is romantic. Which is still my counselors helped me through.
I'm going to hear about this forever.
But I say that because we're so different, and what might be romantic for her might not be romantic to me. And one of the things that struck me, and why this is important to ask these questions about all of this really hit me, was that so many marriages seem to lose a spark when it comes to this, through time, through kids. Anything over time can do that naturally. In fact, I think marriage, if you don't work on, invest in it, it never stays stagnant. It actually just is slowly losing the romance and the intimacy. It's just sometimes it's so slow you don't realize it, but it's actually decaying. It's not growing. But one of the things that struck me even about this idea of romance is that I think so many people are sitting there in their marriage, and if I can be honest, what they're feeling is, hey, I missed the way it was. And a natural tendency is to focus in on how our needs aren't being met like they used to be. Like, you ever caught yourself thinking this or saying this? I remember when you used to. I remember when we used to date, it was different. And so this idea is, and I want you to see this because this was very powerful to me, is that we look at how our romantic needs, whatever they are not being met the way we want. And so we're almost looking at, if you will, like binoculars at our spouse going, hey, you used to, I wish you did more, I wish you did less, why don't you? And so we're kind of disappointed because our needs are not being met. And one of the things that struck me in how to correct a relationship is to shift the focus off of how she might not be meeting my needs the way I would like, to simply going, well, how can I just meet her needs? Mm-hmm. And that little shift of focusing on what she's not doing to what I need to do to meet her needs. If you're married to a good person, I think that's an important thing, because some people will just take advantage, and I get that. But if you're married to a good person and you start to shift your focus, if you will, from not how she isn't meeting your needs, like binoculars looking at her, to a mirror to go, how can I meet her needs? As you start fulfilling her, as you are meeting her needs and fulfilling her desires, what will happen to a good person? They're going to respond. Now listen, sometimes that response might take a little longer. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but something's beautiful. Jesus talks about this, right? Like, if you want to change the person, don't point their issues out. First, take out the plank in your own eye. Deal with yourself. And then you will see freely to actually transform that other person. The same thing is in romance. We've got to stop being so frustrated with what he isn't doing and she isn't doing. And instead turn and go, okay, what are your needs? List them out. How can I romantically fulfill those needs? If it's vacuuming the house, then fine, I'll vacuum the house. But whatever that is. And as I pour out into her and meet her romantic needs, it's going to inspire her then to meet my romantic needs. And now you're going to have a marriage that has romance or a spark back into it. And I just want to challenge you with this, because a lot of people think they can never rekindle a flame in their marriage. They think it's just, well, this is just normal. When you've got kids and busy, you can't expect. That is so not true. There have been seasons in our marriage where there hasn't been much of a spark, and there are seasons in our marriage it's like a fire. Those are the best seasons. But but those are the result of once again, you reap what you sow. And the more I invest my energy into going, okay, Raquel, I'm not worried how you're not meeting my needs. I'm just meeting your needs. What are they? How can I meet them? When I'm doing that, then once again, that spark gets rekindled. The marriage has so much more romance, which is how God designed it, and it's amazing. But we've got to fight that urge to focus on how our needs are not being met and focus on how I meet their needs. In fact, it was actually convicting. We're reading this book, right? The 4 Laws of Love. If you haven't got it, it's great to walk through as a marriage. We're walking through this right now, kind of basing our conversations on it. But I caught myself, because as I was reading even this section, I'm like sitting there writing going, oh, Raquel needs that one. Oh, she does. But like, oh, and I'm sitting there taking notes for her. And in the middle of this, it was like the Holy Spirit knocked me upside the head. Yeah, thank you. But and not that kind of going, hey, you just need to read this for you. And you need to let me deal with Raquel. And between all of your prayers, God's going to deal with her. And do that. And so I just want to challenge you. Fight the urge. I just challenge you, please. Fight that urge to focus on how she's not meeting your needs or he's not meeting your needs. And just go ahead, do what Jesus taught us. Take the plank out of your own eye. Start to invest in that marriage. And you watch how you return the spark and you begin to experience these things. Now, what I'd love to do is one more thing before we give them the weekly challenge. And the thing I want to do is the book that we're reading talks about some of the 4 keys to romancing a woman and some of the 4 keys that maybe to romancing a man. These might not all apply, but these are great conversations. We'll actually maybe write these down in the comments. I'm going to some of the team, write these things down. And then you can just kind of maybe have this conversation at the end of it. Maybe you want to take some notes on these things and see if these things connect with you. So starting with you, what are the 4 things that maybe feel romantic, once again, to women that you read in the book?
Yes, that I read in the book. So the first one is the need for security. Is that women want to know that their needs are being met in a sacrificial way. So when I think of that, I think of Jesus. He gave his life for the church, which is his bride. So it's a very sacrificial way of loving. Is to really think of her needs and meeting her needs. So women really have that need of security. The next one is open and honest communication. That women really want to know like your thoughts and feelings, and that you make sure that you take time to communicate those things. That she knows that what's happening. What's happening. So when she asks like, "How's your day?"
Good.
Don't give a one. Just expand a little bit more. And share what's happening. Share how you feel about her too, that you appreciate her, that you love her, in which ways, be more specific, and how your feelings towards her too.
And as you open up emotionally, it can lead her to open up physically. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. So the next one is actually non-sexual affection. Boo for you guys. But that you're gonna just love her and show affection. That doesn't necessarily lead to something else.
That means a back rub is just a back rub. They're the
rub.
worst back rubs, okay. But every once in a while, I'm just saying.
That she's just not, that she feels that you love and care for her, that she's not just an object, in those terms. So that's the thought. And the last one that is actually last but not least is leadership. So, man, I just challenge you to just lead. Take the lead on making your marriage better. Buy the book. I'm so grateful that Scott was the one that actually researched about the book, bought 2 books for us, and then we set times to meet and talk about it. And it has been so awesome. It could be you can start with that. Just buy a book, or you can buy. Also, like I want to talk about, like, be the leader in a spiritual way. To be the spiritual leader in your household. I have so many women that I talk with at church that say, I so wish my husband would be the spiritual leader of our home. And so just take steps. Like, some things come natural for women, like prayer. You may have a prayer warrior, a woman that's like really strong in that aspect, or that she, memorizes and does in-depth Bible studies. And you may see like, well, she's really good at that, so I don't need to lead in that area. But that's not true, because God really has called you to be the leader, spiritual leader of your home. So, take small steps. You can buy a devotional book and do a 5-minute devotion. And if you don't even feel comfortable in the beginning praying, you let her pray, and then you begin to get more comfortable with it. But if you can spend 5 times, 5 minutes, just getting together to do a devotion together every day will be just a step. And then you can develop in that.
And even if it's not every day, even if it's just start small, it's a week, it's a once a week, twice a week.
Yeah.
I think the key is just taking that initiative that God designed us to lead, not lead from an authoritative way, right? Jesus said lead from a self-sacrificial way, but it's still leading. And I think that means leading. If you have children, praying with the kids, making sure they do devotions. It's just really grabbing hold of that. The 4 things for the men, right? For women, it's security, open, honest communication, soft and non-sexual affection, and leadership. For men, what they found in this study was that honor and respect was a huge part. And that means, and it's true, like I feel like if when she says things that might come across or might perceive as demeaning, that shuts me up. I think the more that you learn to talk to your husband in an honoring and respectful way, probably the more I think you'll be willing to open up and actually be in conversation and open up that intimacy part of him. I think the second part, obviously, sex is a part of romance, especially for men. And I don't think it's I think God wired us like that is a part of a marital relationship, the way God designed it to be. 2 people become one flesh. In fact, it's even in the Bible, where it just actually says in marriage, it actually forbids taking time when you're married, not having sex. You should be doing it frequently. It's my favorite verse. Some of you are Googling it right now and have already shut down what we're talking about here, but it actually commands in the Bible for people to not give up coming together for a season, because it actually could increase temptation. It can create problems, because God designed sexual intimacy to take place in a frequent manner. But not just for me, frequency is a part, but it's not just that. We've talked about this even in every other thing. It's not just the frequency or the quantity, if you will, it's the quality. And what I mean by that is just the energy that is given towards it. I think the hard part can often become is because maybe if you're a woman and this isn't as great a need, and you're like, well, okay, well, we're, excuse the expression, doing it frequently, but when you guys are engaging in intimacy, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're not really there, you're not really being proactive in the sense, you're being reactive, and so you're losing some of the romance out of that. So it's not just for me the intimacy, it's, hey, is she giving her best? Is she really trying hard to meet this need in our lives? So I think respect is it. I think sex is part of it. Friendship and fun is big. I love playing pickleball. I play probably 3-4 times a week. And I love she started to play with me, and we actually put a court in our house, and we just have a lot of fun. And great. We love going on bike rides and doing activities together, watching football. She's from Brazil, so she likes soccer, which is not even a sport. And so she doesn't even understand American football. But I love when she hangs out with my friends and we're watching that together. And then the last one they said was domestic support. And it's not implying that the woman takes care of the house, the man does nothing. I think it's really just like her and I, we've divided up. So all outside's on me, and inside she kind of takes care of. And so I think it's more that idea that whatever your roles and however you divide that up, which can be different per different couple, it's that each of you guys owning that responsibility and doing it with excellence. And I think for those things are just some powerful things that challenge us. So remember something, the 4 things in women: security, open, honest conversation, soft, non-sexual affection, leadership. For men, honor, respect, sex, friendship and fun, and domestic support. Now, I want to close with two challenges or two things, and then kind of your weekly challenge for you to apply this. First is, don't judge or reject or minimize whatever your spouse's romantic needs are. It is so easy to go, oh, that's ridiculous, because it feels that to you, but it might not be for them. And so just be careful. Remember, put yourself in their shoes. Give them empathy and go, oh, if that's important to you, then you know what? That is how I'm going to love you. And so listen, when you guys have this conversation and you're like, oh, that's ridiculous, don't say that. Once again, God wired us differently. Second of all, I think that is an important thing. Do what you did to fall in love, to stay in love. Like, what did you do? You were always thinking of creative ways to win them over. Just because you're married doesn't mean you stop winning them over. Do what you did to fall in love, to stay in love. Don't minimize these things. And here's your challenge of the week. Each of you choose a romantic thing to do for the other person. That's it. It's a simple challenge. Just have the dialogue and then simply go, I got 7 days, and then begin to do this. And here's...
Yeah, you got to ask the other person, sorry to interrupt, you got to ask the other person what is important for them. You know, I think that's that is the key there, because it's just different from person to person. So begin with that conversation, ask the person what are the things that are important for them, and then plan something special.
I can't wait. All right, here we're going to do something else. Next week, we're going to kind of answer some questions. A lot of you wanted to do that. So if you would type in your questions right now, and we're going to give you other opportunities, that's awesome. And then we're going to kind of come together our last week on marriage, our 4-week thing on marriage, and answer the best that we can, all the questions that you have to help you. And so I want to challenge you to do that. And here's what we're going to do. The winner of it, whoever does the most romantic thing for their spouse, just write in what you did on the comments next week, and then we're going to pick someone next week from that thing. Just going to type in the comments whatever you did that is most romantic. We're going to give you a $50 gift certificate to a restaurant that you can't go to right now because it's closed, but you will be able to one day. Hey, with that, I want to close. I just want to remind you, this is a great opportunity to share it for friends. We have heard so many people walking through some marriage issues, and we just wanted to help. These are great tools to share. Also, on our YouTube page, if you missed anything, Go Journey Church, look at our YouTube. All of these talks are on there. You can watch them. You can share them with friends. And by doing that, you can help actually encourage and help other marriages. We love you guys. We'll see you next Wednesday night.
See you. Thank you so much. We're praying for you.